Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Transformation Time. Every Thursday, I host an episode of either Transformation Time or Behind the Scenes. My name is Ali Nazarian, and today's guest speaker is Ali Nazarian. Now, before we get started, I want to share some exciting news with you. I have a social networking platform for the real estate investing industry. So if you're a mentor, if you're a professional, or you are an investor, you want to be a part of this amazing platform. Not only is it going to transform the way you work, but also you are connecting with amazing people that are amazing, wanting to support each other and help each other out. And I wanted to share with you, not only do you get an amazing profile, but if you upgrade, you get even more. So if you are, a lot of the experienced investors now are not only investors, but they may be also mentors, or they're also professionals. They've started their own businesses. The upgraded one, you can share all those in one profile. So if you want to get into REI FAM, you want to meet a lot of amazing investors, a lot of amazing professionals, mentors, then you want to be on REI FAM. RealEstateInvestorFam.com. You can download the app and you can stay in tune with what's going on and what everyone's up to. Now back to the show. On Transformation Time, our guest speakers are here to help you by sharing their personal development journeys, the mindset shifts they've gone through to get to where they are now. And we'll also get to deep dive into the changes they're making right now to get to those bigger goals, those 5-10 year goals. So if you guys are ready to bring on Ali, let's send him some thumbs up, some happy faces, some fires, and let's get him on the stage. Ali, if you got it. Hey guys, we are bringing on Ali. Ali is going to be sharing his journey with us. Oh, for some reason it turned off. I'm not sure what happened. Let me just cancel it and do it again. But we're going to be getting to hear about Ali's experiences. I'd love to even hear you guys' experiences. Hey Ali!
Hi,
Uh,
Diana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, how's your day going?
It's going good. I'm loving the weather. I was actually outside doing a bit of reading, just
Nice,
enjoying the grass in my feet and the sun in my face, actually.
nice. Yeah, it is beautiful outside after the biggest storm yesterday, but it's nice to
Yeah,
see the sun again.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And let's just get started with first, even just for anyone that doesn't know you, what is your real estate strategy? How long have you been in it? Whatever you would love to share about yourself that you want the audience to know about.
Yeah, so my name is Ali Nazarian, obviously. I'm focused on multifamily development and value add projects with a focus on energy efficiency and sustainability, which has been a passion of mine for many years. So that's in a nutshell. That's that's what I do. Developer, investor, and coach as well. I do land development and multifamily development coaching as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for sharing. So now let's start with, first of all, what even got you even thinking about real estate, even thinking about like that it's something that you can run as a business, just
Mhm.
like what was that?
Yeah, so real estate has always been on my radar. Like my family had like one rental, and like I always saw the benefit of having that passive income. And honestly, for them, it was the retirement plan, and I saw that how that really helped, especially when we grew up and went to school, and like expenses keep going up. uh, and so that was always the back of my mind, but I never looked at it as a business. It was always like, an investment. And I know a lot of people look at it the same way. So,
I love that.
uh,
So true. That was even the same. Actually, a very similar story. My family was also in rental properties, and same thing. Never thought of it as a business by any means.
yeah,
It's cool. When I retire, if I have a bunch of houses, I don't have to worry about money, you know?
yeah, exactly. So for me, that was always like back of my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm going to invest in real estate when I save up enough and whatnot. And so that's what I did. Like in 2015, I was working in the oil and gas industry in Alberta. And for those who are familiar with Alberta at that time, like the oil and gas industry took a major nosedive. And so a lot of people found themselves without a job. Same case for me. And there was no even like prospects of going back to work anytime soon. So that's what really got me thinking about, okay, I need to do something on the side, something as a backup. Still at that point, I wasn't thinking about, making it as a full business, not then, but I wanted to learn how to build houses, as like an option that, okay, so maybe I can become a builder one day. And I always had a passion about building homes, just the creative aspect of it, of, where you have an idea and you have a piece of dirt and a bunch of materials and you put it together and you build, a home for someone that they make memories there and whatnot. So maybe a little bit too philosophical about it, but that was that was my motivation at the time. Was just like really in love with the creative process of building homes. So I started learning about building homes. And then eventually in 2016, when I went back to work, I just knew that I need to invest and I need to invest in real estate. So bought a condo, did midterm rentals at the time, 2016. And then kind of kept working on that idea of like building homes. And eventually in 2017, I started Ecolux. I wanted to build homes, so I bought a piece of land. But I didn't want to just build any ordinary home that people have been building forever. I wanted to bring that energy efficiency and use a little bit of my mechanical engineering background as well in there. So I kind of brought a little bit of energy efficiency aspect to that build and built that duplex. I still have it, still one of the best projects I've done. Very, very steep learning. But
Mhm.
that's kind of like the long story how I got into development.
Mhm. That's amazing. And I think one of the things that I think is so important for people to hear and that you're kind of alluding to is when a problem happens, like losing your
Yeah,
job, a lot of people may just give up and just be like, oh, well, my life sucks and that's all it is. But
yeah,
you are now, what can I do with this? And how can I still take advantage of my time and figure out things that will
exactly.
benefit for the future? And even as you said, even the development, right? You bought a property, came with, I'm sure, lots of problems because the first
Yeah,
ones always do, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
best part of it is like be prepared for those challenges because they're there to test you, but you get through it
yeah,
and you just see what it is and it helps you really to learn to do what it is that we want that we're doing is we're learning to evolve and adapt and become better versions of ourselves or things that
exactly.
help us be, better people or feel more secure, whatever it is that we're looking for, you have to transform. So I love that because those things, everything we do is transforming in some way. So I
Yeah,
love
I mean, it's they say the only constant in life is change. That's the
that.
paradox of life, and we always have to be prepared that things might change. Like we had COVID, and things changed. So I think that tested everybody's resilience and how much they can pivot. And and actually like that what I built at that year, I was still not thinking about being full time in doing that. I was still thinking about like building homes on the side. But COVID was really what really like similar to a lot of other people. That's what really solidified it for me. COVID hit a month later. I was laid off again, and then I was like, "That's it." Like that's where that backup plan that I started working on in 2016. Now I need to put that into basically action. And that's when I started looking at turning this into a business. And that was a bit of a paradigm shift of like, okay, now I have to do things differently, treat it like a business. And so I started learning about that again. Like, again, that was an opportunity. You know, being laid
Mhm.
off during COVID, isolation, you got nothing to do at home. So I was like, what's the best thing I can do is like just try to learn
Learn.
more and more about how other people are doing real estate as a business. And I guess it was kind of lucky that at that time, a lot of mentors and coaches and guys that have been really boots on the ground, they got some time to go online and start YouTube channels and Facebook groups and Zoom meetings. So it was really an opportunity to learn a lot about how to turn this into a business, and that was the turning point for me. And I ended up taking another job just because it was convenient at the time. But the shift was, I always looked at that job now as the side hustle, and the
Mm-hmm.
real estate business was the main thing. But then because I got an offer, it was, work from.
Oh, you got muted. Okay. Sorry, you
I
got
can
muted.
still do, yeah, I can still do both at the same time.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's basically where it became a business for me.
It's amazing. So then right now you have uh your day job
No,
and you
I
have
left.
your
I
oh
left
that's
that day
cool.
job last year. It's coming close to a year now. Again, that was always the intention at the time. I was like, okay, they offered me a job. I'll do it as long as I can. But last year things were picking up and it was busy, so it was not really. It wasn't like even thinking. It was like it was always the day job that, because I took it with knowing that I'm not going to be in it forever. So that one had to go because my projects were picking up, and I had to prioritize the projects, especially because we deal with investors' money. That always takes top priority. So I wanted to put my 100% focus on that. And honestly, I'm busier than I've ever been. So, so it's good.
Yeah, and I think also, at least for me, I'm curious if it was the same for you. When I left my job and it was that decision, like this is my full-time job, it was also where my time was being spent in a money sense. Like I was just making more money in less time in real estate. And so
Yeah.
me, it was that kind of just like it's kind of just like I rather put because especially in my case, and maybe it's the same with you, because I feel like when being an engineer, I was working in the things that I actually loved. So I never left my jobs for the fact that I didn't like what I did. It was more for the fact that I was making more money with less, and I also enjoyed what I did in real estate. And
Mm,
so that was more my shift of like, well, it's just like like you said, I'm getting busier with my work. I have so much more to do on the real estate side, and I'm making more money. And it's just like, why not invest in time in this? Because to be honest, I actually liked both. I liked what I did in my job, to be honest, and I liked it. I liked what I did in real estate, and it was just more, where do I want to spend
hmm.
more of my time with? And it was just like, it's to me, it was like that curiosity of like, what is it like to fully run your own business,
Yeah,
fully be just dependent on yourself and figure things out on your own, or not really on your own, because we have community stuff, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, do this and you be the boss. So it's like you don't have another boss. It's like you gotta figure it out on your
yeah.
own. Like that curiosity was just like exciting for me.
That I would say that last part was the most exciting for me, to have full control and be able to, you know, implement my own ideas and kind of pave my own path. Maybe unlike you, I can't say I hated my job, but uh, it was just a job. It was engineering. It was fun in some senses, but being in larger corporations, you're always put into a box and told that this is the way we have always done things, and you can't change it. There's a little bit of wiggle room for creativity, but I always wanted to be able to, bring my own creativity to what I do. So I would say my main motivation was to have that control and have my own business and be my own boss.
Mhm.
And
Express
yeah,
yourself, it sounds like, right?
yeah,
Being able to express your true creativity, which I feel like, to be honest, I feel like is the definition of a an engineer or like
yeah,
an entrepreneur. It's all about like I don't care to make my own
Yeah,
problems, and try to solve them. Or like that's like fun, like let's figure it out. And like, how can I be creative of this problem? Like other people say there's no solution. I'm gonna find a solution.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's I guess that's why we become engineers because we love to find solutions for problems, and
Yeah.
there's no shortage of problems in real estate, especially when you get into
Oh,
development. It's pretty much always every day is problem solving, because
mm-hmm.
it's a when you're in the development phase. I guess it's not stable asset. It's not considered stable, so it requires a lot of attention. There's a lot of hands-on, basically all hands on deck kind of situation, and there's a lot of moving parts that you need to be able to handle. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the problem solving. There are days that gets really crazy, and there are days that you solve some problems and you feel great and at the end of the day, I think you should enjoy what you do,
100%.
because everything comes with challenges. And if you're not enjoying the journey, uh, you are likely to give up, um,
Mm-hmm.
or
Or even
will be
understanding
tempted
why
to give
those
up.
things are happening to you. Like
Yeah,
problems are there for a reason for you to learn something that you don't
yeah,
know. So and that may be like that. Like I feel like as businesses grow, I feel like this is what I'm going through. That I'm getting into different businesses, but I want to go bigger. What does bigger mean? You're dealing with more people, more teams, more
more
partners.
problems.
And that becomes like now personality clashes and like,
Yeah,
okay, how do we deal with each other? Right? Like how am I going to make sure that I'm bringing out the best in you, you're bringing out the best in me, and we're moving in a
yeah,
direction that's positive for the company, for all of us.
yeah.
So it's definitely the growth comes at every stage.
Yeah,
Problem, more
absolutely.
growth.
Yeah, exactly. As you grow, your problems grow as well, and your ability to deal with those problems need to grow. And honestly, your growth goes as far as your abilities to deal with bigger problems and bigger issues. Like, I don't think you will ever get into a situation where like, oh, everything is like perfect. There's no issues. We're just cruising. Uh, I don't think that happens. Like you just
Mhm.
get stronger. You just learn how to deal with it. You learn how to manage your time and manage issues that come up at work, at your projects, and keep them separate from your personal life and your family and whatnot. So I think people just seem like they're more relaxed, but it's just because they're better at handling the challenges that come.
Mhm. Mhm. And like you said, especially I think when you have a very curious mind of learning, that
Yeah.
yeah, curious mind like learning means that there has to be a problem to learn from. And so it's just like even that if you're in a growth mindset, you will be countering problems. So you will be going through challenges and figuring them out.
Yeah,
So it's just
exactly. Yeah.
something that comes with the territory. Being a curious person brings on challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I think for everyone, like it's important to enjoy what you're doing. I can't emphasize that enough. Um,
100%.
Being passionate and enjoying it. Because at the end of the day, things should be fun. Like
Mhm.
even a challenge when you come out of it on the other end, you still feel the joy that you made it through the challenge. It's like
Mhm.
going to the gym and you're challenging yourself, and when you're done, you feel tired, you feel exhausted, but you feel great that you made it through the challenge.
Mhm.
So I think that's an important piece, and that's like for everyone to find their zone of genius, and not just try to follow what other people are doing. There's a
Mhm.
lot of shiny objects out there. There's a lot of things that other people do that looks great, but I think everybody have to reach inside and just get a feel for, would I enjoy doing that, what that person
Mhm.
is doing, because there there's a million different ways that you can make money. I don't
100%.
think money should be the motivation. I mean, we all need to make money at the end of the day, but there are many different ways to do it. So just following, like just because somebody else did this and made money, now I'm gonna go and do the same thing. If you're not enjoying it as much as that person, you may not put the same amount of effort, you may not put the same amount of attention to it, and you may not get the same results. Um,
100%.
People like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or what like all those big names, they got where they got to because they enjoyed what they were doing and they could put more attention and time to it than anybody else that may have had the same idea.
Completely agree. I love that analogy. I think it's so true. Exactly what you said, right? It's, two people could be doing the same thing. One could be incredibly successful and the other one not. Why? Because they don't have interest in it. They don't like it. Maybe they can't handle problems well. Whatever it is, something is stopping
Yeah,
them. And it's like, and that understanding of yourself is very important to be able to be that ultimate you. And be
exactly.
able to do the best that you can do because okay, this is what I love to do. These kind of challenges are fun to me. Like I feel like when you feel that obsession, you're in the
Yeah,
right direction, right? When you get obsessed,
exactly.
you're like, God,
Exactly.
that's where I should be going.
Exactly. You need to be obsessed with what you do. I mean,
Mhm.
to a healthy level. But
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. You need to be obsessed. Steve Jobs was obsessed with creating iPhone and transforming things. And, you know, Bill Gates was obsessed with bringing computers into every single person's desk. So being obsessed with what you do is what will get you go far. So
Mhm.
you got to find something that uh, you can be obsessed with, and that it can get you where you want to go. There's a saying like you got to find the golden spot of three things: is what you're talented at, what you're good at, uh, what you love to do, and that something that there's a market need for it. So if you
Mhm.
find the intersection of these three things, that is the point that you will have extraordinary results,
Mhm.
because you're not getting tired of it because you love it. If you need to put 15, 20-hour days, you will, because it doesn't feel like work. And you're good at it, so you're going to excel at it more than other people. And there's a market need for it, so you're going to get compensated for what you're doing. And if you look at a lot of people, again, those great names like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, or all these people, they're all operating in that point,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
intersection of need of the market, what they love, and what they're good at.
Mhm. Love it. Love it. Great, great tips. And definitely hope you all take that advice because it will definitely help you guys succeed further than what you imagined, to be honest. At least I felt that. I've gone through things that I'm just like, oh my God, I never expected my life to be the way it is, to be honest. But now getting back to you. So what has been like a mindset shift that you had, and feel free to share the story that came with it that kind of like gave you a shift of thought of whatever of like and maybe a change in the way you run your business or whatever.
Um, I would say, like, when we started looking at it as a business versus as a side hustle, I would say that was the first transformation. Then you start thinking about building systems, building processes, really learning deep, like how to run the business, how to put the structures in place, and build a foundation that you can build on. You can never build a 10-story building if you put the foundation for a single story house.
Mm-hmm.
So if your goal is to build the 10-story building, then you need to put the foundation in place. And it might look like you're not getting that far. It may not look like much. And you might see that, oh, somebody else is putting a foundation that's going up a lot faster. But a foundation for a 10-story tower versus a single-story house, they're very different. Obviously, the smaller building will go up faster, but it's not going to go that far. So I think the transformation was like looking at that business, having a clarity of where I want to go and where I want to be, and then I started putting foundations in there. That foundation might be more expensive than a foundation, for something smaller, and you need to be okay with that. And I think that was another kind of like had to accept that yeah, maybe the people that I'm working with, they might be more pricey, but if I want to go to that whatever 10-20 story building, I need to spend more money on my foundation. And then self-education, learning how to run a business, that's all important pieces. And then at some point you need to shift your focus on building your team. And you touched on it earlier, like different personality types, who would be a good addition to your team and whatnot. So it becomes a lot of leadership skills rather than just technical knowledge of what to do. Because at some point, the technical knowledge, you kind of hit a plateau, or you just have to outsource that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like once you get to certain levels and you start growing, you realize that to grow the business, it's more about the changes in you than the amount of learning you
100%.
do, right?
100%. Yeah, you need to change yourself first. You need to develop
Mm-hmm.
yourself. That's a really important piece, is that the self-development never stops. You have to
Mm-hmm.
grow first before your business can grow. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like growth in your mindset, growth in your skills. It might be different skills, right? It may not be the technical, like I'll use developments. Like I don't need to know how to do like structural engineering for a 10-story versus a 2-story, but I need to know how to basically lead a team that can do that work,
Mm-hmm.
and
Or
how
even
to
know how
put a
to hire
structure.
the right
Yeah,
people too, right? Making sure you're finding the right qualified people, because that even I know is sometimes problems with some teams where they hire someone
mm-hmm.
and they're not even what you expected or what you need to actually get the kind of project done
Yeah,
that you need.
yeah. The right. I think there's a book called Traction, and talks about like having the right person in the right seat.
Mm,
You could have the right person in the wrong seat, or the wrong person in the right seat, and you'll not get the results,
mm,
right? Um, so it has to be a fit, and that I would say is a challenge that never ends.
mm,
Even the biggest corporations in the world, they're always struggling with that. So
mm,
for anyone that's trying to scale their business and they're feeling that pressure, um, don't feel alone. That's an inherent
mm,
challenge that comes with growing a business.
mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, that growth of the business, that is
Yeah.
the challenge.
And it never stops. It never stops. Like I've worked in international corporations that operate worldwide, and you sit in the annual general meeting, and that's all they're talking about is they keep restructuring because they don't seem to find the perfect structure. And then depending on changes in the market, they have to keep restructuring their organization to
Mm-hmm.
fit the environment that they're operating in. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's a never-ending challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what most businesses spend a lot of time in that space.
Mm-hmm. And it would make sense, right? Because just in general, the whole world changes, people are changing, you start learning new things, new
Yeah,
processes. And then from that, now it's like, okay, now the company itself has to start evolving and changing too, because life is changing and things are changing, or new technologies, or whatever is out, or
yeah,
even minds. I think right now it's all the younger kids, and the way their thought processes are very different to
yeah,
ours. And so
yeah.
now it's like evolving to make sure how that's going to work, how you're meeting certain expectations, how you're setting certain expectations, so many
Exactly.
different. That one's definitely, I think you'll never stop learning for sure.
Yeah, exactly. The learning never stops. And running a business, it's not a walk in the park, it's more like surfing. You always have the next wave hitting you, so if you're not prepared, it might wipe you out. Yeah, it's learning to surf and like getting used to, the uncertainties and learning how to deal with the uncertainties and also take advantage of it.
Exactly. Love it. Now, moving forward, if you want to share your big, big goal, but with that, like we're talking about, there's changes that I'm sure you're implementing now or things that you're learning. Like, what are you doing now to achieve that like 5, 10 year goal that you have?
Yeah, it's kind of same things that I talked about, like delegating, building the team, finding the right people for the right seat, and honestly identifying those seats. Like, okay, what are the key roles that I need to have in my business in order to get me to my goals, and that's where I'm putting a lot of focus and attention, delegating, trusting the people that I bring in to help, and uh, so far it's good. I'm seeing really good results. It frees up my time to think more high level strategy for the business, where it's headed. Some of the main things in the business is like how you're funding your projects, how the financing works, and things that are the bloodline of your business rather than the day-to-day activities. And so that's kind of the phase that I'm at now, is building out my team, finding the right people, so freeing up a little bit more time for myself. Honestly, like a little bit for me to have more me time. It's been a lot of like 15-hour days over the past year or two, as you're basically establishing in that transition from a 9 to 5 to being a business owner and operating a business. So that's my goal for now, for I would say like for the next year or so. And
Mhm.
then yeah, just having more systems and processes, so that if somebody new comes to the team, they can take the torch and like do the same work and the continuity of the business.
And I love that your goal is more time for yourself because it's very true. A lot of people um, would talk about, especially during COVID, I would hear this a lot. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, buy your real estate and live on a beach and work there. But they don't talk about that you have to put those few years of hard,
yeah,
intense work to actually be able to give yourself that time off. And so people
exactly.
would, I've seen many times where people go quick, like, oh, I got like a couple houses down and now I can leave to go do something, and their business falls apart because
Yeah,
they didn't fully focus on the business. They focused on the real estate, like, oh, I got these property, I got this, but was the focus there and established for the business? That is
yeah,
always the part that people forget about, is that, oh, the business wasn't actually like solid enough for me to be able to leave it for
yeah,
some time.
exactly. Like again, it's back to building that strong foundation. And
Mhm.
a lot of people rush things to basically, because it's like I keep using construction analogies, but that I think that could make sense to a lot of people as well. Is if you're spending a lot of time on like putting your footings and foundation, to someone standing outside, it looks like you're not making much progress, whereas your neighbor, it looks like, oh, they just put some stuff together and wow, they're already out of the ground. You can see something. And a lot of people rush for that visible result, uh, and that, to your point, that might be built on shaky foundation. That once things
Mhm.
get tough, and if you have like a strong wind and like things that don't go your way, now it's that strong foundation that will keep you in place. And if you don't have that, it will fall apart. I think those days that you would just buy a few properties and live off the cash flow, they're long gone. I
Mhm.
think everybody knows
Mhm.
that that doesn't happen these days. Like even triplexes don't cash flow anymore. Like we're now looking at like fourplex and fiveplexes that barely cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So those days are gone for now. We don't know. Like interest rates went down yesterday, so we'll see if the interest rates keep going down. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of those opportunities. So this is when you can see like people who have built a stronger foundation. Um, they're surviving and thriving.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who did things in a rush without building a strong foundation, now they're facing a lot of challenges. So to your point, it's very important to have a strong foundation.
Yeah, love that. I love those tips that you've given to the viewers. And something that you were talking about before, and I just wanted to bring back because I think it'd be great tips for the viewers. Oh, and I don't know if you've experienced this part, but it sounded like maybe you had that. One of the things that people also have problems with the growth is relinquishing the control of the tasks and feeling to be able to actually have the confidence to let people do it. Did you ever experience that? And if you did,
Yeah.
what kind of things did you do for yourself to try to relieve that stress and be able to allow others to actually do the work so that you could focus on like that, which is your work is now is on the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. I'm definitely guilty of that. I would say that that has been the toughest challenge for me is letting go of that control and trusting other people. At some point, you have to. It just gets to a point that there's just not enough time. But it's better to do it before it gets to that point that you actually have to uh, let it go and let someone else do it just to get the results. But yeah, it's having clear expectations, right? Like I would say, like that's what I've learned. Make it easier to delegate is having a definition of success. Say, okay, if I'm asking you to do this task, I need to communicate to whoever I'm delegating to of, in my eyes, what successful completion of that task looks like. Timing, quality, uh, content, whatever like that looks like. And so then the people that are doing it, they have a clear idea of what you're expecting of them. I think that a lot of engagements that don't end up working well is because the communication has failed, and maybe the person delegating was not clear about what they were expecting. And I remember like from my corporate time, there's an exercise like a root cause analysis, like when there's a incident or something, and it always comes back to management and management systems, and it comes back to communication and lack of communication, lack of training. It always falls back on the management. And if you're the leader of the business, you're the owner of the business, at the end of the day, you're accountable for everything that happens in there. Even if you've hired someone and they didn't deliver, you may not be responsible for it, but you're accountable for it. Meaning you
Mm-hmm.
still have to answer for that and take accountability and ownership that, okay, maybe you were supposed to do something differently and have better training, have better expectations and whatnot. And it's always a learning. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
even large multinational companies, they're always learning on that front. But I think that's where a lot of people, struggle, and I think that's worth putting a lot of focus on. I'm definitely learning that every day, and that's one of the things that I'm focused on getting better at.
And that's another basically tip that you basically provided is the value of communication. And like you said, as you go up higher up, you realize either how much you're lacking in communication and how much you have to improve generally.
Yeah,
At least that's what I had with me when I started hiring people. It was just, I would ask to have something done, and either the questions that would come out of it or the way it was done was like, how did I ask that
yeah,
question? I was like,
exactly.
that, I don't think I said it the way it needed, or I didn't say enough. Like I really
Yeah,
learned, especially with language barriers, where English, they spoke English, but it was like a different
yeah,
English, like English
yeah.
as a second language is translated differently.
Hmm.
Where I started learning, like I need to speak more detailed.
Yeah.
And I started realizing I made tons of assumptions in my
Yeah.
head, and like the
Yeah.
final comes out, but I didn't say everything else that was processed in my head, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have a lot of assumptions in our heads, and we just assume that other people know what's in our head. So being
Hmm.
clear in the communication, putting yourselves in the other person's shoes, and try to think about that. And the other part is like, just like personal life, like taking total ownership of everything that happens and not blaming other people, because then you miss the learning opportunities. If I
Hmm.
hire someone and it doesn't work out, I'm always reflecting, okay, what I could have done better. And that's not to say that like sit there and blame yourself, but like just from a positive perspective, okay, what can I learn from this experience? Okay, it didn't work out with this person, but what could I have done better? Maybe I could have not even hired them at the first place. Maybe I should have started
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
And there's another book called Extreme Ownership, and I think that's really eye-opening as well. It's like we need to take total ownership for everything that happens in our lives, and
Hmm.
business, and that would be very transformative.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it. And yeah, that not taking the blame and taking it as a learning experience.
Yeah,
Because obviously, like you said, taking that ownership where, for example, like you hired that person and then you're thinking, well, what are the qualities that I didn't look at that look to be very important now because I clearly did it, like these kind of things are happening, for example.
yeah,
Or even further, maybe they're a good hire and you're like, I didn't convey what I
yeah,
wanted well, and they're misunderstanding me. You know, but I feel like even some people, for example, hate being asked so many questions and see it as a negative thing. And to me, I'm just like, I love lots of questions because it tells me, one, I clearly didn't say everything that I was supposed to, because if you're questioning me, that means I
yeah,
didn't tell you everything, or maybe I haven't even thought of everything, and they're helping me think it through, you know? And like
exactly.
questions, I don't know, I find questions very valuable. And I feel like people shouldn't feel attacked by questions. Questions are there for both sides to learn from, you know, like that person's asking because they don't know.
Yeah,
And you're either needing to think it through because you're like, oh, I never thought of that side, which I love. Like the whole
yeah,
masterminding thing is what I love because, you know, you think very differently than I do. Others think so differently than I do. You put those minds together, you're thinking of things that I would have never thought of. And it's just like, wow, we need to put a plan together for that because that was never in my mind.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's definitely an engineer talking, because we we don't mind questions, and
But
it's not for us.
we
It's
get
not.
persecuted for asking too many questions. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
God.
yeah, we're used to that. And but yeah, for a lot of people that comes across as like you're questioning me or questioning my work, but it's more like definitely for engineers, that's something that we ask questions to clarify and understand. But it's important to clarify that it's like I'm just trying to understand a little bit better and whatnot. And then, like you mentioned earlier on in the calls, like the personality types and whatnot, and being aware of that and being cognizant of that, it's very important.
Mhm. I love that. Any final notes or comments that you'd love to share with the viewers?
Um, no, no, just wrap it up in like basically self-development never ends. Always putting some time to grow. Reading leadership books, very important. You can, audiobooks in the car. That's what I do now. Like even like, I don't have a lot of time. But living in Toronto and GTA, you spend a lot of time in traffic. So that's the best time to listen to some useful books. And yeah, self-learning, self-development, and learning about leadership. That would be very helpful in like growing business. I'm definitely still learning. I have a long way to go, but always happy to share what I've learned so far in my journey and share it with other people, and always happy to learn from other people and their experiences and what they have done.
Love it, Ali. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on. If
you.
you guys loved what you heard from Ali, he will be tagged on here so you can see what he's up to. You can DM him if you want mentorship. He'll be there. If you want to check out more about Ali, he's also on REI FAM. He has his full profile there so you can learn even more over there. And if you guys love what you heard from me and you want to stay up to what I'm up to or what shows I got going on, then definitely follow me too. Thank you, Ali, for coming
Thank you.
on.
Thanks for having me. Really great sessions that you do. It brings a lot of value to people. So keep it up and great work. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
day,
Thank you, everyone, for
everyone.
coming on, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See
Bye,
you,
Ali. Bye, everyone.
everyone. Bye.